that doesn't make them idiots. And they're not ignorant, stupid people that aren't on your level. So don't talk down to them and put them down because you think you're better and know better than them. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in. Boy, have I got to tell you, last night was rough. I had to sit through hours of just awful award presentation ceremonies. The Oscars. It sucked. It was terrible. Not only did a lot of the films and people that won weren't very good, it was also filled with all kinds of people promoting their woke ideas and beliefs and just forcing it on the audience. It was anything but delightful. And beyond that, even the people who weren't being woke, everything else just sucked. It was just terrible. Like, for example, take a look at this. This was ridiculous. So, as you can see, pretty weird. And that was just a clip. That went on for quite a while. Them acting like cats on stage. Pretty weird. And the audience thought it was weird too. It panned all the different people sitting in the audience and they were a little freaked out as well. That was just one of the things that went on that was just like, why are we watching this? What is the point of this? There were many more. There's no sense putting them in this video because I don't need to waste your time with that. So, apart from all of those things, everything else was pretty much filled with people being woke and, being very progressive with their ideas. And it was all the same things they normally focus on. There was a heavy focus on race. There was a heavy focus on gender. There was a heavy focus on the environment. And there was a heavy focus on cows and their babies. You'll see what I mean here in a minute. So, let's just go ahead and go through here because I've highlighted all the most woke moments of the presentation. There were more, but these are some of the main ones just to do a little count here and see what all we had going on.
Mahershala Ali's here tonight. Mahershala has 2 Oscars. You know what that means when the cops pull him over? Nothing. Oh, man, there's so many great directors nominated this year.
I don't know, Chris. I thought there was something missing from the list this year.
Vaginas?
Yeah. Cynthia Erivo is here tonight.
Yes. Cynthia Erivo is here tonight. Cynthia did such a great job in Harriet hiding black people that the Academy got her to hide all the black nominees. Is Eddie Murphy under this stage?
Eddie, I loved you in Dolomite. Well, think, Chris. Sorry, think how much the Oscars have changed in the past 92 years.
Yeah, they changed a lot, Steve.
Yeah, they have. Back in 1929, there were no black acting nominees.
No. And now in 2020, we got 1.
Yeah. Amazing growth.
Really incredible. Thank you to the Academy for this honor of honors. They told me I only have 45 seconds up here, which is 45 seconds more than the Senate gave John Bolton this week.
As Mindy noted, animated movies are loved everywhere. In fact, Frozen 2, or as climate change deniers call it, not Frozen 2, which means there are so many great versions of Elsa. For instance, Canadian Elsa is basically the same, but with healthcare.
Say that I've held an Oscar on this stage.
Congratulations. Oscar's not so white now.
I win.
Just now backstage, we decided that after the show, we're going to start a fight club. And if anyone wants in,
Men are all invited, but no shirts allowed.
Yeah, I'm
Just
sorry,
giving
it's
you a
just,
heads
it's
up.
Hollywood, guys. The winner will get a lifetime supply of deodorant, sushi, and tequila.
Yeah, and the loser gets to answer questions from journalists about how it feels to be a woman in Hollywood.
and say that all women are superheroes.
True.
Yep.
That for the first time in the 92 history of the Academy Awards, a female conductor will be leading the orchestra for this performance.
Finally.
So,
the greatest gift that it's given me, and many of us in this room, is the opportunity to use our voice for the voiceless. I've been thinking a lot about some of the distressing issues that we are facing collectively. And I think at times we feel, or we're made to feel, that we champion different causes. But for me, I see commonality. I think whether we're talking about gender inequality or racism or queer rights or indigenous rights or animal rights, we're talking about the fight against injustice. We're talking about the fight against the belief that one nation, one people, one race, one gender, or one species has the right to dominate, control, and use and exploit another with impunity. I think that we've become very disconnected from the natural world, and many of us, what we're guilty of is an egocentric worldview, the belief that we're the center of the universe. We go into the natural world and we plunder it for its resources. We feel entitled to artificially inseminate a cow, and when she gives birth, we steal her baby, even though her cries of anguish are unmistakable. And then we take her milk that's intended for her calf, and we put it in our coffee and our cereal. And I think we fear the idea of personal change because we think that we have to sacrifice something to give something up. But human beings at our best are so inventive and creative and ingenious. And I think that when we use love and compassion as our guiding principles, we can create, develop, and implement systems of change that are beneficial to all sentient beings and to the environment. Now, I've been a scoundrel in my life. I've been selfish. I've been cruel at times, hard to work with, and ungrateful. But so many of you in this room have given me a second chance. And I think that's when we're at our best, when we support each other, not when we cancel each other out for past mistakes, but when we help each other to grow, when we educate each other, when we guide each other towards redemption. That is the best of humanity. My brother wrote this lyric. He said, "Run to the rescue with love and peace will follow." Thank you.
Wow. Yeah, that was fun. That makes for a fun, fantastic award show. Everybody watching loves that. They love to be preached at about what they're supposedly doing wrong. So, you see this theme throughout the Oscars, and, you know, one of the first big areas they touched on a lot is race. And there is always a complaint that there is not enough of a certain demographic represented, and that is offensive. And it's this idea that, you know, people need to be equally represented in the exact amounts, or it's not fair, it's not right. And that is different than having people have the equal chance to do well, the equal opportunity to do well. Because no one is limited in being allowed a position at the Oscars. Like, all these actors have the same chance to earn the award based on how they performed, what they performed in. And it's not unfairly scaled more towards one person or the other. But because the people represented aren't equal, people assume that it's unfair just because the outcome isn't equal. So there's a disconnect there. And I'm not sure why, but people love to make a big scene about it, and that seems to be the focus. We're not even supposed to be caring what the color of people's skin is. You know, we're supposed to judge people on the content of their character, not the color of their skin. But that seems to be all Hollywood wants to do, is judge people on the color of their skin. Literally, you saw how many times in that video they made comments about the color of people's skin, and it was always, oh, it's insane. It is insane. Just judge people based on their acting and what the films that are made and the sound effects and the music and the video and all that. Don't worry about if the people that are up for the award there's not someone represented from every group. You could go indefinitely with physical characteristics. We've talked about this before. It doesn't just have to stop at skin color. It could go to hair color, eye color, body shape, body type, accent. I mean, there's just so many categories you can break it down into. It's a ridiculous thing to try to base awards off of. So stop trying to wedge in every time you get the chance little digs about who all is represented in the lineup for the awards. It's ridiculous. It's out of control. You also see a really big thing in the same, and it's along the same lines. You see this with gender, and you saw the one clip with 3 of them standing up there. You know, the champions, the Fight Club. It's the same thing. It's like, and you can, if you pause it and look at their faces when they're making these comments, it is like a little creepy. Like, I don't know what it is going through their heads, but it's vindictive. Like, they're out to get people. But it's the same thing. It's this idea that women are not represented in the right way, or they don't like the way they're represented, and it just goes on and on and on. And you even had people making comments about the environment and, you know, climate deniers and global warming and all this. Okay, well, you don't have to. That is not a way to win people over to your side, is acting like people are absolute idiots and don't know what they're talking about. Your science and all that you have, you know, there's good evidence to the contrary of what you believe as well. And just because people acknowledge that and take into account scientific studies that disprove what you believe, whereas you may think you have some that prove what you believe, that doesn't make them idiots. They're not ignorant, stupid people that aren't on your level. So don't talk down to them and put them down because you think you're better and know better than them. But I guess, you know, if you want to keep doing that, that's all well and good, because then in the next election, they're going to vote completely opposite of what you're wanting, and they're going to win. So actually, maybe keep doing that. Also, we even had a dig taken at our healthcare system, which is one of the best in the world. Saying that the healthcare in Canada is better? Geez. Somebody needs to read up on their facts there. Not quite, buddy. Anything that is not progressive far left, shots were taken at. And then you come to the last one we watched there, Joaquin Phoenix, and he goes off on a rail. He covered about every different right in the book. We got some heavy coverage of cows, which was good, important. But I want to take note, his seemed different to me than all the rest of those. So, and they are actors. He could be acting, I don't know. But out of all the people on stage, all the ones, I finished with his for a reason. Out of everyone else on there, everyone else seemed like they were taking vindictive, like, digs at people. It wasn't so much that they were really passionate about those ideas. There's a difference between the way it's hard to put a finger on it, but there's a difference between the way everyone else before him was presenting their ideas and the way he was. He gets up there, and it was a very humble demeanor to him, and he didn't want people applauding. He was really trying to get his point across, and he seemed legitimately upset and concerned. Now, I don't think he's right in a lot of areas. I think he has a lot of misplaced ideas in his head, But I think he actually believes them, and I think he really cares about them and wants to fix the issues that he really believes in, rather than be vindictive towards people on the other side of his ideas. It's not so much that he wanted to hurt people that disagree with him. He wanted to and like I said, this is the impression I was getting from him. It seemed that he was concerned with fixing things and really wanted to work on things. And like I said, a lot of his ideas seemed way off, and there's some things he's missing. But I appreciate him more with his apparent reason for doing it. Like I said, he's an actor. He could have been faking it, but from the way it appeared to me, he was very sincere and wanted to fix issues in the world. Whereas everyone coming up before him there was being very preachy towards creating a victim culture and, you know, just being vindictive towards the other side, making digs at them, wanting to make them look bad, call people idiots, make people look like they're stupid. There's two different goals with the way they approached things there, and that's very interesting to see. And that's an example of how, you know, people could disagree on things, but their hearts can both still be in the right place. And I think that is the thing a lot of people in this, you know, circle of influence are missing, is the actual care to fix things and want the desire and want to work on things. A lot of times you see behavior like in that whole first section of video I showed you. You see snarky comments and, you know, just bashing people that don't believe what they believe, like they know any better. And also, a lot of times, you'll hear conservatives say, well, don't take people in Hollywood's opinions. Their opinion isn't valid, blah, blah. Well, that's not true. They are people. Everyone has an opinion and has an equal right to an opinion as you. I mean, everyone can have one. And the issue isn't that they can't have an opinion and that their opinion isn't worth hearing compared to yours. The issue is that they hold a higher level of influence and have a platform to speak on. So a lot of people don't take into account that they might not know what they're talking about. So your average person watching may or may not believe that that person is the highest authority on the subject. So you have all these famous people in Hollywood getting up, and because they're popular and people like them for other reasons, they can then build on that and preach these ideas to people. I think that's where the issue comes in. And that's not to say they shouldn't tell people their ideas. They can continue to do so. But we need to examine what is said from these people and take it with a grain of salt and not just jump on the bandwagon because they say it. And that's both sides. Both sides. Just because occasionally a famous actor or musician will come out and say something maybe slightly conservative, and conservatives jump on the bandwagon too. You don't need to be doing that either. You do see it a lot more from the left, and they need to work on that. But both sides, it's the same issue. One last thing of important note here on Joaquin Phoenix's speech there at the end. He makes a point towards the end about, as a society, us using love and compassion as guiding principles. Now, that does sound great at first, and, you know, you hear claps and cheers, and yes, people need love and compassion, but that shouldn't necessarily be the guiding principles, let alone the only guiding principles. So, love and compassion are great, but they don't work unless you also use your head and use logic and your brain to think through issues and facts and truth. If it's just love and compassion, you're going to be in trouble because you might think you're helping somebody. You see a hurt, you see a person hurting, you see a need, you go to help it without thinking about is this going to hurt somebody else? Is this going to hurt a larger number of people if I do it this way? There's so many more things to take into account. We can't just run a society on just love and compassion. That needs to be, love and compassion needs to be used inside of truth and facts. So when these issues come up between people in our country, instead of like polarizing it and you just focus on love or compassion, you just focus on truth and facts, and that's what the platforms of each side seem to be. You've got truth and facts over here on the right, love and compassion over here on the left. You need to use the love and compassion in your truth and facts. So that's the best way to push things forward, because you do want to be concerned with the welfare of people and help people that are hurting, and we want to take care of each other, but we want to do it smart. We want to do it the right way. We don't want to break down society just because we focused on love and compassion. So, like I said, while it seems like his heart's in the right place, and I think you run into that a lot with people on the left, and your average person on the left, their heart a lot of times could be in the right place. Now, there's a lot of people who aren't. Like I said, it's vindictive and they're coming at it the wrong way. But there's also a lot of people who really just do want to fix things, make things better. But they don't necessarily know the right way of going about doing that. And that's why you see a lot of push for these people. They'll lean more towards the candidates on the left, because the way they portray themselves, these candidates, they make themselves appeal to the love and compassion side. And the right is then painted as not loving, not compassionate, don't want to help people. They're bad people. That's what it's painted as. So, of course, as a regular voter, people that are more in touch with that loving compassion side than more focused on truth and facts, they're going to lean towards those candidates, and they're going to buy into what they're selling. Now, the motives of those people might not be love and compassion, but that's what they're selling. So, a lot of times that's a turnoff on the right. It might seem like the people over here aren't loving and compassionate, but a lot of times they are. They are, but it just doesn't. They're painted a certain way, and there's not enough pushback to show that they are. So if the people on the right can show that they have love and compassion, along with facts and the truth, things are going to start going great, because people are going to gravitate towards that. When they see that there's a side that loves and cares for people and also is going about things in the correct manner to help the most people possible and to create the greatest country in the world, people are going to gravitate to that. They're going to want that. That's going to be desirable. But we got to start showing both things. There's a popular phrase going around that facts don't care about feelings, and that's true. Facts don't care about feelings. Facts are facts. They are what they are. But people care about feelings, and people are the ones who vote, and people are the ones who make decisions. So people have to see you caring about feelings along with the facts. So like I said, watching the Oscars was a chore. It was not fun. Like, even making fun of it, it was sad. It was sad. And I was trying to think of the best way to sum up my experience watching all these people and the things they said. And as I was trying to come up with the words for it, I realized someone has already said it, and I'm just going to play for you what they said.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Well, guys, I'd like to thank you for tuning in and watching me rant about the Oscars. I hope you didn't have to watch it yourself. Feel free to leave a like, dislike. Make sure to subscribe and click that notification bell, because that way I can get my videos out to you right away and you can watch them and you know they're there right when they come out. Feel free to leave a comment as well. I'll get back to you. You can tell me what your favorite Oscar moment was, or your least favorite, or if you noticed any other woke moments that I didn't catch in this and any of the other interviews. Again, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.